My name is Peter MacLellan, and I live currently in Smiths Cove, Nova Scotia, on the lovely shores of the Annapolis Basin. And I'm a marketing, communications, public relations consultant, part-time, and so living now in sort of semi-retirement down that part of Nova Scotia.
What is your King's connection?
Well, probably the number one connection has been through my children. I had been involved in King's earlier, and we'll perhaps chat about that later, but what I'm most proud of is the fact that all three of my children attended King's, and all three of them were beneficiaries, and I mean truly beneficiaries, of the Foundation Year program that's helped to shape their lives tremendously. And so having followed them through King's, and then follow them since, because they still keep an association with King's and speak of it fondly. There's probably not much time that ever goes by without either all of their careers and their lives where King's doesn't come up again. So I guess peripherally, that's with my contact with King's. It's part of our collective lives.
As a parent, what does King's mean to you?
King's is extremely important to me as a parent, and of course to my wife as well. The University of King's College, did nothing short of just shape tremendous lives for my three children. I watched them. We both watched them all with exceptional pride. I've just come back from New York to visit my oldest son and his family and our newest grandson. Everything they're doing in their life has been shaped strongly by their time at the University of King's College. It's not just the education they had, but I know, even speaking with my oldest son, the people with whom he keeps in contact, even here in Halifax, and in point of fact around the world, were all people he knew at King's. As I look at each one of the three careers they've chosen, every one of those career paths they have followed began here at the University of King's College. That doesn't mean to say they didn't have interests in those, although for a couple of them, they didn't until they came to King's, were introduced to the programs, where a whole world of options and ideas was open to them. And again, I credit the Foundation Year program for that. They were then educated and then encouraged to follow in those directions. So as a parent, when you look proudly on your children and what they're doing and their values in life, and you can attribute a great deal of that to King's, well, that's why I'm so proud of King's as a parent.
Can you tell me about the career paths that they have followed?
Sure. Our oldest son, Scott, who was the first one to come here into King's, and who had a wonderful time here, and studying, playing rugby, and he was also a president of the King's Student Union, so he was the ultimate Kingsman, King's person, perhaps more correctly at that time. Scott now lives in, he went on to postgraduate studies in the United States at the University of California, San Diego, and then on to working in Japan, and then on to one of the imperial colleges in Japan at Tohoku University in Sendai. Lived there for some time, went into the financial and banking business there, and has since his employer has moved him back to New York, where he has an extremely senior position with a very, very large international portfolio management, financial asset management business, and where he, his wife Ryoko, and our newest grandson now live. Our second son, our middle child, Jamie, graduated from King's with an honors and science degree, but because of course, his exposure to the wide mix of options and discussions in King's, decided that also he was going to pursue another aspect of his life and went out west. And he now subsequently also got a bachelor degree in fine arts from Emily Carr University in Vancouver. Allison was a graduate from King's, and she, again, was very active in everything from King's drama societies to debating to the soccer team, which you'll probably mention went all the way to the national finals in Kamloops in her year, or that one of the years anyways. Allison graduated with a degree from arts here and went on to further studies in public relations and communications. She now lives in Halifax, as does Jamie. And I should mention as well that Jamie is now the public art facilitator for Halifax Regional Municipality, where he works with arts and formulates arts policy for the city and works with the arts community. Allison went into a a large public relations advertising marketing agency, and since she became a mother a little over a year ago, now runs her own very successful communications marketing organization.
What do you think makes King's a good environment for students to learn and to grow?
I think what worked most for my children was not just, well, there's two things. There are the program offerings, and I can't go back again to emphasize, I will go back again and emphasize the foundation year program, because they came in and doors that you like to think as parents you can help direct them and find options for them. But two things, when they came to King's and came into the foundation year program, a whole new worlds of interest were open to them. Scott, my oldest son, probably wouldn't be in the business that he was in. He's in now if it perhaps wasn't for the economics elective he took his first year. But all of them have that option and the worlds, and they're told, because of the nature of the program and the culture that is King's, that there's a whole world open to them, that it's possible to explore anything. And they do. And the thing that supports that is that the people they meet here come from all over, and they're just exposed to people who think a little differently. I remember when I was involved with King's many years ago, my good friend John Godfrey, who was the president at that time, said, King's, he said, one of the things about King's I'd like to create is it's an institution for young people who wonder if they'll fit in anywhere else. And that's what I think my children found at King's, were young people who thought sometimes differently, who had new ideas, who were out there to try and explore them, where debate was an everyday experience. And it's not, they love the athletics. They spent their time in the wardroom lounge like everybody else. They were regular, university students. But it was small. They pretty much knew everyone with whom they graduated. The extracurricular activities, the social events weren't just student-related ones from the president and the president's functions at President's Lodge in the university. They were at first-name basis with all the faculty. We can go on and on and on, but it's just the intimacy, the intellectual stimulation that they found here, and the opportunities to do everything else any other university student could do, except there's a certain richness to it.
What would you say to other parents whose children are considering King's?
I would say, first of all, it would go for it, is what I would say. Simply because Canada has a lot of good universities. There's no doubt about it. And both my wife and I, the fact that we knew King's and were familiar with it, made all the other options for my children. I think without exception, they all had offers at other universities. I think without exception, they all had scholarship opportunities at other universities. We talked about it, and quite frankly, because I only live a few blocks from King's, they were very familiar with it. So I thought in every case that, a couple of reasons I may not want to go because they were close and they're familiar. And then, of course, you have the sibling experience. Well, my older brother's there. I'm not going to go because I'm going to be somebody's younger kid, sister, or brother. But no, they had met some other children, students who'd gone there, and were convinced. Do look at the other universities, but look at where your children are at this time. We thought, at least in one, maybe two cases of our children, we knew what they wanted to be. I'm going to be this, as children do. Well, from the time they're young, and they're going to be a fireman, or they're going to be something else. I think, Allison, my daughter, may be the only one who walked into King's knowing what she really wanted to do and walked out doing it. The two boys walked in here thinking they're going to be doing something else, and came out of the other end with other career options, still retaining an extreme interest in the interest that first took them to King's, but went off in other areas. And they're extremely happy with what they do, and they're both, please, I don't mean to be immodest, but from a dad and mom's point of view, they're doing extremely well in careers they love. And I credit that to King's. Everyone is accessible at King's. And I know for a fact that every one of them had a chance when they had concerns to say, what do you think about this and what can we do? The faculty took the time to say, look, if you're really interested in this, go here. The president would say, if you're really interested, do this. They noticed my children. They took an interest in what my children were interested in, and they gave them feedback and said, you're really good at this. Have you ever thought of doing something along these lines? Not to push them, but to encourage them.